play some hockey.
You are watching Gouche here, Gouche Live, featuring Paul Rosen. Paul is not with me tonight. He's taking the day off. He will be back tomorrow at 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you check out the show. We got Mark Simon from the Chinese hockey group, and we're going to be talking about a lot of things in hockey. As you know, over there they call it ice hockey. We'll be talking a little bit about how the Chinese view the return of the NHL and what's going on for the Olympics. That's going to be really exciting. And he controls or runs all of the youth programs. So we'll find out a lot about China tomorrow with Mark Simon. Hey, listen, got a buddy of mine all the way from Sydney, Australia. Met him first in Auckland, New Zealand. The guy's a world traveler. Probably got me beat. Probably got more miles on his air miles. I don't think he's got a million mile club yet with Air Canada, but maybe with Air New Zealand or Qantas, or hopefully not Virgin when they go broke. Then he won't be able to get any of his miles back. But listen, Logan Swinkels, phenomenal kid, young guy. We're going to ask him some questions like, how does a guy like you get so wrapped up in ice hockey? And that's what they call it down in New Zealand and Australia. And when I met him, he is a professional. He's polished at this. He's actually been in it a little bit longer than I have. So I'm going to learn from the pro. All right. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show our buddy, the one and only, Logan Swinkels. What's going on, bud?
Hey, man, wow, that is some kind of introduction. I really appreciate that.
Well, you deserve it. You're
I have been watching the show though, and I've been pretty impressed with what you and Paul have managed to do, especially just being able to get in so many people, like doing this every day. Yeah. I know we don't have a lot else to do at the moment, especially with no hockey and everything going on, but you know, you're providing a lot of entertainment for everyone, and I think it's awesome.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we're trying to, you know what, we're as I say all the time, we're right now, we went from the Federal League, we've made ourselves up to the East Coast League. We think we're on the cusp of making the AHL, and eventually, once we make it, we'll be in the NHL. They're going to have us on their broadcast. Hey, listen, I started off with my jersey. I wanted to, obviously, the Wayne Gretzky Ice Hockey Classic. You know, obviously, we do a bunch of stuff down there. We will talk about how we met on the Ice Hockey Classic in New Zealand. But first, tell everybody, how do you fall in love with the game? As you can see, I've got the Australian jersey behind me. Unfortunately, Andy Mills and of course my buddy Grant Hay, have not sent me a New Zealand Ice Black jersey, so I had to do the All Blacks.
Close enough. I'm sure we can fix that.
Right, we'll do that. Okay, so I'm going to let you go. You tell us how you fell in love with this game.
All right, so I mean, for a lot of people, it might be the Mighty Ducks, and that actually wasn't the case for me. I think I saw my very first game of hockey. I just call it hockey. Like most people call it ice hockey down here. So when I say hockey, people get confused and think I'm saying field hockey, but I'm like, I'm not. It's ice, buddy. It's way better. No offense to field hockey guys though, because I did play it. But yeah, I discovered ice hockey from watching a game on Sky Sport way back in the mid-90s. I want to say it was a Pittsburgh Penguins game, and I saw Mario Lemieux, I saw Jaromir Jagr, and I was just like, wow, this is just the coolest thing ever. So from there on out, I followed it along. And this was back during the Red Wings dynasty. So there was a lot of Red Wings and Colorado Avalanche games on the TV at the time. So I kind of fell in love with guys like Joe Sakic and Peter Forsberg, and then obviously like Patrick Roy. And I just kind of followed the sport. At the time, I felt like the Penguins were my team because, you know, that was like the first team I saw play. And so I hung on to that for quite a while. And then it wasn't until I moved to, you talked about me being a world traveler. My wife and I, we moved to Toronto for a year, and that started my whole obsession with the Maple Leafs.
Sorry about your luck. My wife too, a huge Leafs fan, and everybody's thinking, oh my God, they're going to win the Stanley Cup. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see about that. You know, Leafs fans, obviously, we get dumped on. The team gets dumped on a lot. There's always that team, but I guess
Yeah,
maybe I just seem to be a sucker for supporting teams that haven't won in a long time. Being a New Zealand Warriors fan with the
that's all right.
NRL as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so it just kind of grew from there, obviously in the mid 90s, and then playing the video games as well, like NHL 98, 99.
Who's on
Back
the front cover?
98 was Peter Forsberg, I believe.
Tell me,
99, I think, was Eric Lindros.
yeah, look at how crazy passionate you are about this game. You even know who's on the front cover of the. That's crazy. I love it.
Yeah, so I've played those games for a long time, and then I like, to be honest, I did dip out a little bit during my poor student years. Not being able to watch the games, didn't have access to Sky Sport, and I think NHL TV or Game Center at the time was kind of in its infancy, and New Zealand internet was not the greatest, still on dial-up, so it didn't really work out. So I dipped out for a few years, and I think I came back just after the lockout. When
2004.
Yeah, 0405, when, the likes of, like, Crosby and Letang and Marc-Andre Fleury were all getting picked up by the Penguins. And so that's when I started going all in on the Penguins again, and started following hockey more. And then from about '09 to 2010, I was buying the NHL video games like every year. And so, yeah, pretty much since then, since about 2009, 2010, I've just been all in on hockey.
Well, I'll tell you what. There's nobody more passionate than you. You announce the games. You're part of the whole scene now. Also in New Zealand and in Australia, you've made the trek over from New Zealand over to Sydney, Australia. Let's talk about puck, yeah, because that's how I met you. I met you when we were doing the ice hockey classic down in Auckland, and we had a chance to talk about it. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of people here from New Zealand on looking to find out what Logan Swinkels is all up to. So Bill Siegeloff he's from Para Hockey Sydney, Australia. Bill, thank you for joining us. Luke Turner, I see, is on. And my buddy Gouche is manic. Listen, we got to hook you up with Logan. We got to do some tournaments over there. I know we can get Logan Russell and Cam Green involved, and we'll bring some of your Canadian teams over. So thank you for joining us, Sam Trapolino. So tell us about Puck Yeah. Where did the vision of this cool? I think it's a podcast, and do you do blogs also? You kind of report on all the different type of hockey throughout.
Yeah, so I mean, Puck is kind of just evolved throughout. We've been going for like 3 years now. It all started from, so I've been working in the New Zealand news and sports media since like 2011. I have to think about that for a second. And of course, ice hockey being such a minority sport in New Zealand, obviously completely dominated by the likes of rugby and cricket. It's not really thought of at all. It's not really reported on at all. So even when I was there working at 3 News, I was just trying to, push the producers and stuff and be like, hey, look, this is really cool. Like, check out the West Auckland Admirals and the Botany Swarm. Like, this New Zealand Ice Hockey League is awesome. And they'll be like, yeah, we don't really do ice hockey. So I was like, okay, but you kind of I wore them down a little bit. I think to the point they were just like, all right, let's just shut them up for a little while. And they would let me do a story every now and then. The Winter Classic was always of interest to them eventually because of just how cool it looks. Just looks amazing on TV, and it's not something that we see down here. So I was able to kind of get their interest using the Winter Classic, and then I guess building from that. So ended up doing a few reports, both for the website and like the 6 o'clock news. I remember doing one on the West Auckland Admirals with Chris Belanger, who was an import at the time. And I think good buddy Justin Daigle was just kind of coming into the league, and like he's never left. And then from there, I disappeared off to Canada for a while, came back, brought it back in. And again, just still like, New Zealand is just, it's kind of, yeah, ice hockey is just such a minor thing. So we thought, all right, I'm going to build my own platform. And I met up with my good buddy, Joe Jury. Actually, the first time I met Joe was when we met up for tacos at Mexicali. That's him there on screen. And he actually knew my wife, Sarah, way back from them working together at TV3 or at MediaWorks. We were all kind of part of the same massive media family. And he was doing such awesome things at Radio Horaki and everything, like, and what he does with the alternative commentary collective. And I was like, all right, this dude knows his stuff. And like, I know that he loves hockey as well. And he's a good talker too. He's such a great guy. So we met up, we talked about the podcast and everything, and we just got it going. So we launched the podcast like 3 years ago. We did a few episodes in one of the studios there at Radio Horaki at the NZME building, and just kind of went from there. We interviewed like my good friend Jez Brown that was he ran Slapshot Productions, which was doing basically all the NZHL broadcasts at the time. And just had a few people on, and then we went from there. So Pakia is definitely, it's kind of just grown and changed as I just kind of from where I wanted to do things or what I was interested in. So we did launch a website a couple of years ago, and I went pretty full on.
We have a website?
No, we kind of, it's like I said, it's kind of moved, like it changes. So we had a website running for a couple of years. It was puckyear.nz. I think it's still up, but
it is. It had old information, so I didn't want to put it up there.
Yeah. So it was pretty old as far as, I don't think I've written an article there in like maybe a year or so, but we use that as a way of kind of, covering New Zealand ice hockey, both the men's and the women's and the international teams, and a little bit of fun NHL stuff every now and then. We're like, there's no point with Puck Year, there's no point in really covering the NHL or North American hockey, we thought, because there's so many other awesome like podcasts and stuff already doing that. The Steve Dangle podcast was one that really motivated us to even do this in the first place. And we just went from there. We don't really do the website so much anymore, but what we do instead is obviously we kind of run like a social media service, and we kind of do updates through there on the Facebook and Instagram at PuckYearNZ. And so we get a lot of people on. We still do interviews every now and then. It's been a little bit harder, I'll admit, living in Australia now, trying to be connected with the New Zealand players and everything. But that's the beauty of the internet, is that you can still do stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Puck Year just kind of, it just rolls with the tide. We just do what we can do. And I mean, like at the moment, there's no hockey on, so we were like, hey, let's create the league and sim it inside NHL 20. So that's basically where we're at right now until we get some actual hockey happening.
Yeah, my goodness, thank God we don't have Paul on tonight, because he was like that esports stuff. I don't use all that sort of stuff. So one time I knew it was in Germany, I was there, and somebody actually had me as a player on his little thing. And I thought that was kind of cool. We should have learned it. Listen, we got a bunch of people from New Zealand and Australia here. Bill Ziegloff, again, just want to say hello. Luke Turner. Luke is just an incredible young man. He runs the Wellington Seals. As you know, when we were down there, we tried to get a game going in Wellington, and we had a little bit of trouble. The rink fell down. He said, Puck, yeah, they owe you a lot. You were very supportive of what they've been doing. So big shout out to you, Logan, from Luke. And Luke, a big shout out to you too for actually taking on. We left the rink there, the one that fell down. Robert Blitz has put it into an old warehouse. It's been up and down. There's been issues. I will have Robert Blitz on here in a week or so, or maybe even this weekend, just to talk about what's going on. Obviously, there's a shutdown all over, but now we have been told that things are starting to move again. So we can find out a little bit more like that. All right, so talk to us a little bit more in depth on the New Zealand ice hockey before we get into, now you're in Australia. You were involved, you did some tours with them, if I'm not mistaken. Didn't you go to Mexico with the national team? And the national team, it's the New Zealand Ice Hockey League, is run by the New Zealand Ice Hockey Federation. I met Grant Hay as he was the president of the New Zealand Ice Hockey Federation, and then Andy Mills has taken it over, and had a great chance to talk and work with him. We had great plans for 2020, which have been shut down, but we're still thinking about 2021, doing our 10th year anniversary. Talk to us about New Zealand Ice Hockey and the Federation, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I did go to Mexico with the New Zealand Ice Blacks last year, and honestly, that was a trip of the lifetime. I actually have, that is a New Zealand Ice Blacks jersey there hanging behind me. That's Sean Harrison's jersey. Paul Harrison is his dad. He's an awesome guy, really supportive. He traveled with the Icehounds last year as well and helped me produce a lot of the media coverage and stuff for that team while they were over in Europe. Yeah, so the New Zealand Ice Hockey League, there's the 5 teams. We've got 2 in Auckland, the Botany Swarm, the West Auckland Admirals, and then you've got the Sky City Stampede out of Queenstown. Just, if you ever go to Queenstown, you have to go to a Stampede game. It's just a ton of fun. That rink just blows up. The atmosphere is electric. It's just a small, tiny barn. That what Ted and Dan Graham do to that place is just incredible. We on Puck Yeah, we actually the other day we're doing this new thing called Rewind Wednesday, and we're playing back old games that kind of are memorable to me. And one was the Skate of Origin from 2015, and that was at Queenstown Ice Arena. And they didn't have glass then; it was all netting. And you're just kind of like, man, in that 4 to 5 year period, the amount of change and like development that has gone into that place is incredible. It's just such a beautiful arena. And then you've also got the Canterbury Red Devils and Christchurch and the Dunedin Thunder. So it makes up the 5 teams. The league only does like 10 rounds. And then a couple of years ago, they introduced a 2v3 playoff system to decide who would face the first seed for a best of 3 for the Virgil Cup. Right. So yeah, and of course it features a lot of the Ice Blacks. They play, and then we also get imports coming over from the States. So we've had some pretty high level guys that have come here and stayed, like Matthew Schneider with the Stampede. He's now a New Zealand resident and plays as citizen, and he plays for the Ice Blacks. He's 6'7" on skates. I feel like he's about 7 feet tall. I'm just looking at this tower. Like there's photos of me on the internet interviewing him for TV. It's just like, I love it. I just love it.
I got to see a couple of the games down there, Logan. And had I known when I was playing in Germany that the league was there, I would have picked either New Zealand or Australia. I'm not sure. I like New Zealand, and I love Australia. I would have been playing for sure. I would have gone right from Germany there. It's the passionate. And you mentioned Ted and the boys doing a great job at that rink. We had the Ice Hockey Classic there. And I got to tell you, for the 550 people that were in that rink, that place rocked. Like, it was one of the loudest buildings. And we played, as you know, in some of the big ones, and kudos with 18,000. It was amazing. They do an absolutely bang up job.
Yeah, they do. Like, it's incredible. I mean, I love like Queenstown. Like, I'm from Tauranga. My hometown, I guess. Well, that is my hometown, and then I spend a lot of time in Auckland when I am in New Zealand. But Queenstown is just such a special place. My wife Sarah and I want to go there like all the time. Yeah. The last time we were there was back in September last year to watch the Ice Blacks take on the Australian Mighty Roos. And it just felt so good to be back. Like, it just felt like we were back in New Zealand. And the way when you land there, you're landing in the mountains, the little airport there, it's just so incredible. You feel like that is, to me, that's the New Zealand experience. And the arena is part of it. It's such an awesome community. A lot of the players, like a lot of the Stampede players work there and stuff. And they're all just kind of intertwine and help each other out. They're all part of it. It's just so awesome. And then a lot of the imports that do come and play in the NZIHL, the ones that stay, I find a lot of them give back. They get involved. In Auckland, we've got Justin Daigle and AJ Spiller helping things out with the Auckland Ice Hockey Association, with the lockdown, and they were doing their online lessons to help kids and, other people that wanted to learn to play. So that, that's awesome. You've got, Dean Tonks, an English import. He's all set in stone now down there in Christchurch. He's doing training as well. So you should check him out on Instagram. And then, of course, in Queenstown, you've got guys as well, and Dunedin, they'll all around, and they all stay there, the ones that fall in love with the place. And, you get other imports that might come for a year, and then they'll be like, I really want to come back. And I'm sure we would have seen that happen again this year if we had a season with, thanks to everything that's sort of happening. But the NZIHL does a great job of kind of just building this community. Like, the fans that are there are really passionate, really supportive of their teams. And I feel like hockey is that kind of sport where, like, if a New Zealander saw it, I think it really, and I know our good friend Cam Green would attest to this, it's that kind of sport that, when a New Zealander sees it, I think it really sort of, you get sold on it so quickly with the speed and everything and the hits, and it's just unbelievable.
Cam could sell ice to an Eskimo. So it's pretty easy for him to sell ice hockey to the New Zealander. And I'll tell you what, I just wanted to add to your talk about Queenstown. I've traveled the world. I've been to many places. And I can tell you what, Queenstown is a bucket list. The last time I was in there was in February before all the pandemic stuff started. And Andy Mills did just a great job taking care of us. And of course, in Auckland, the Hayes family, I get a chance to stay with them. And God, they've got a whole team themselves, don't they? I think they got about 20 players, and I think they got more kids coming up, grandchildren. So yeah, I love the whole family atmosphere that's built around New Zealand ice hockey.
Yeah, so true. I mean, you're right. The Hay family and the extension of that with Jordan Chalice and obviously Libby Jean and stuff, their kids. It's the pressure of being a Hay kid to play hockey. Man, it must be intense, but they're all so awesome. Like it's just such a cool family.
It's the best of them. Let's just let them.
Yeah. Well, they know that. But yeah, speaking of that, when I went to Mexico last year with the Ice Blacks, the whole idea of that was I just wanted to, with Pakia, we really wanted to create this kind of insight that people hadn't seen before with the New Zealand team. And I'm just so thankful that people jumped on and helped donate to, basically, they paid for my flights. And then the New Zealand Ice Hockey Federation was so supportive and so into the idea that they put me up as well. They put me in with the team. They paid for my meals and everything. Just like the hospitality that the NZIHF gave Pakia for those 3 weeks across Colorado and Mexico was incredible. Like, I couldn't thank them enough for that. And from that, we created so much awesome content, being embedded in the Ice Blacks training camp like that in Colorado. We were putting up videos and stuff all the time. And, I was seeing comments from, legends of New Zealand ice hockey like Graham Glass, just being so stoked to be able to get that kind of insight and information that we probably wouldn't have seen before. Yep. And I mean, I'm not the kind of information that gives stuff away to the opponents, but it's just the kind of stuff that you see that you wouldn't normally see, kind of that HBO 24/7 kind of thing. So I have from that trip, from those 3 weeks, I've got like 40 hours of footage. And the whole intention of it was, aside from providing all that lead up and all the coverage throughout the tournament, is I wanted to create a documentary out of it. And I'm still sitting on that idea. Like, I know how I want it to end, but my ending hasn't happened yet, where the Ice Blacks win the gold medal and go up a division in the IIHF. That's how I want to end it. I mean, so much happened on that tournament. Schneider, he got injured. I think it was his ribs, and he was still playing through the pain. He got it wrapped up. Sonny, the physio who looks after the team, and he also looked after the Ice Ferns. Man, he is incredible. He works such magic with his hands and his little like massage gun and his suction cups and everything. Incredible. He kept that team in shape. And then, of course, Callum Burns, one of our best defenders. He's so quick. He's a joy to watch on the ice. And he just, I think he went down in the first game, and it was just, it sucked to see that. He's such a great kid, and you really cheer for guys like that. So, unfortunately, the Ice Blacks, we've hit the wall with the Israeli team coached by Bobby Holik. So maybe one day soon. I mean, yes, the Bobby Holik was coaching the Israeli team, and very formidable. So it was crazy because growing up watching the NHL and then playing the NHL games, the Devils were always a team that I kind of watched. I love Martin Brodeur, so I was very familiar with Bobby Holik. So seeing him in the flesh was quite daunting. I never said a word to him because I didn't want to fanboy or anything. Plus, he was the coach of the Israeli team, so don't want to fraternize with the enemy kind of thing. But it was awesome to see. But that whole trip, honestly, incredible. And I'd love to one day do something very similar with the Ice Ferns, if I can, because if time allows and everything, and getting on a bit, and work commitments and everything like that. But they've got such an awesome core group in the women's national team. You've got the likes of Helen Murray, Christy Woodyer-Smith, Hannah Shields, and Anjali Malari. They've all been there, and they're all heading that 10-year mark. And I feel like it would be really special for them to kind of finally hit that point where we get to the next level as well. And they're so close. In the last couple of years, the Ice Ferns have been so consistent, and they've been coached so incredibly well by Rachel Park that I think we're really close. And I feel like New Zealand is starting to really push the boundary there of where we can go with ice hockey.
Wow. We were talking with Logan Swinkels. You're watching Gouche Live featuring Paul Rosen. Paul will be back with us tomorrow. We've got a heck of a weekend coming up. We've got Ogie Oglethorpe live here Sunday at 4 o'clock. Ogie Oglethorpe from the movie Slapshot. He doesn't do this at all. He doesn't even know how to turn on a computer. And our buddy Liam McGuire has organized us to have an exclusive interview on Ogie Oglethorpe and his life. Listen, I want to do a shout out to Bruce Poling, a goaltender coach in Melbourne. He's been a great supporter of the Ice Hockey Classic. He's joined us as he knows of you in the puck. Yeah. So let's move now. Before we get to Australia, we've got to talk about backyard and front yard hockey leagues run by Cam Green. I had him on with his partner Aaron just a couple of days ago. We talked about where he saw New Zealand ice hockey going. He runs a league that's kind of called the Beer Guinners. Guys that are in the beer leagues. It's very well run. It's almost too well run for a beer league because a lot of these other ones to shame. Cam's from St. Catharines, knows Zenit Konopka. They were like, pals when Zenit was over there. But what's cool about it is that he's actually taken the concept and built it into an experience. It's actually fun to go there, even if you're just a spectator. There's music playing, there's dancing girls and cheerleaders and all. Well, I don't know if it's that far, but he's announcing goal scored by number 29, Gary Goulet. You feel like you're in the pros. Tell us about how crazy that is.
It's wild. Cam Green, he's also the in-rink announcer with the West Auckland Admirals. So he's pretty good on a mic. He loves to announce those goals, and he adds a lot of flavor and a lot of flair to the in-game experience that you don't really see, especially, with this, I guess, the size of our rinks. But, he tries to add a lot of things. He adds lighting and just whatever he can to boost that experience, not just for the players, but just anyone that's there to watch them play. And like you said, the league is ran so well that you wouldn't think it was a beer league, and he doesn't like it being called a beer league. I know that. He's hit me up on that a couple of times. And to be fair, it doesn't feel like a beer league. It feels like if you got the NZHL and say the NZHL was the NHL, I would consider the BHL to be the AHL. And a lot of the guys play in that to stay in, shape for the NZHL and obviously the international season as well. And, it's really competitive, and you've got the farm system there as well with the front yard hockey league. So the fact that he has that all going,
farm system. Yeah. And I must admit to you, I shouldn't have called it beer league because it's called backyard, and it is not a beer league. It's not your standard beer league that you're thinking.
No, exactly. And so he does have the FHL kind of as that development system to have younger players and people that have only just kind of started up. You've got, such an incredible story with like the Kretschmar family. I think they discovered hockey and they latched on to the Botany Swarm as their team. And then from the end, they all learned how to play, learned how to skate. And then you've got like Josh and his family I think they all play in the front yard hockey league now. There was in the Auckland League as well, the men's league. But yeah, everything they do there, it's just incredible. Like he runs it. He's got I don't know how Cam has the time to do everything when he's also got a wife and two adorable kids.
But he's driving a couple hours a day.
Yeah, so he makes that trip from Hamilton to Auckland all the time. So, I honestly, I don't know how he has the time to do it.
It's not Hamilton, Ontario. It's Hamilton, New Zealand, because he didn't live far from Hamilton, Ontario. So some people may be thinking he's doing that trip. Listen, I was at one of the games just recently. Andrew Hay was playing. It was intense. Like there's some great hockey players there, and it was back and forth all the way. And Grant and Elizabeth Hay were in the crowd, and Tony and I were cheering. And there was, I don't know, probably about 50 fans watching this thing. And it was part of the playoffs. And again, the playoffs have been stopped. And now they've got a big announcement here. The first live competitive ice hockey is now just a few days away. Watch the Backyard and Front Yard Cup finals live on YouTube. Auckland, New Zealand, May 29th, 2020. So it's for the playoffs. They're just going to wrap up because they're allowed to have a resumption of the league 2019-2020. Obviously, we all know that it stopped. The New Zealand government has allowed rinks to open up, and so it is an having trouble with this word, unprecedented time. The ice hockey will return to, what rink will it be playing in?
I believe it'll be. Usually they use both Auckland rinks, Paradise, Avondale, and Botany Downs. I haven't looked at the schedule, but it's probably those two.
I was being a little tongue-tied. Sorry about that. It's been a long day. The Hockey House will team up with the New Zealand Ice Hockey League and the Puck Yay. So you're going to be a part of it. It's a podcast presented best of 5 series with live broadcasts on a YouTube channel. How cool is that? The Backyard and Front Yard Hockey League, aka Men's League, is going to be live on YouTube. Cam Green, my hat goes off to you. Well done.
Yeah. So I just looked at the schedule quickly. It's all been happening. It's all been held at the Paradise Avondale rink, or as they like to call it, the Avondale Square Gardens. Okay. But yes, so my buddy, co-host Joe Jury, he is going to be doing the commentary alongside our good friend Chase. I believe Chase does a lot of the commentary for the West Auckland Admirals, and the NZIHL, donating their gear to help broadcast those games, very generously helping out there, because the fact that we are having some kind of competitive hockey happening now in New Zealand, I mean, it's a testament to how well the country has even responded to everything that's gone on and the lockdown and all that, so they've bounced back really well. The rinks have used this time to, do some renovations. The Avondale rink looks incredible.
Great job with those rinks.
Yeah, so they melted down the ice and everything. They put in more sand and painted the ice again. And the photos that I've seen from Shane Langley there, who works with Paradise Avondale, it just looks beautiful. So I wish I could jump on a flight and go watch those games. So I'm glad that they are going to be on YouTube, and I'm looking forward to that.
Hey, I want to do a couple shout outs. Dave Lindbergh, how are you, buddy? Good to see you. John Burley from Everything Ice, thank you for joining us. Jeff Pata, one of the equipment managers on the Ice Hockey Classic. Shelly Smith, thank you for joining us. We met her many, many years. The first actually game that we had in 2011, we met her. And of course, Logan, we've got royalty. Andrew Hay is watching us. Andrew, make sure you say hi to mom and dad, and I can't wait to get to Pauanui.
You're learning. I noticed that, Andy Hay. Yeah, he taught you how to say that.
Pauanui, right? I said it right?
It's way better than what you were saying.
Yeah, well, it's all those the Maori terms. I just can't get through. Okay, so listen. Last words on New Zealand ice hockey. Anything you want other than Cam Green doing a great job? He's allowing my buddy Bill Bartlett and of course David Fain playing those leagues. I can't believe those guys are still playing. Davey Fain, I love him. He's like an old Gretzky. He's got hands, just can't move as fast as he used to.
That's so true. I mean, we've got Andy Hay in the crowd here. He just shout out to him. He's been so supportive of everything that I've done from the very get-go. The fact that I do have this buy-in, or that Puck Air has this buy-in from the players, and the support that we get is incredible. It's such, in New Zealand, we're such a small country, so everyone, we're all out to help each other out. We're all in this together. We all want to. And I know that's a phrase and everyone's probably sick of hearing, but ice hockey is so small, and we're all do it for the love. We're not making money here. We're not really out to make money here. It's not going to happen, at least not for a long time potentially. But we all love it, and just everyone has each other's back. So guys like Andy Hay, everyone in the Ice Blacks, everyone in the Ice Ferns, and the other national teams, the age group teams, even the inline community, they respond so positively to Puck Air, and they give us feedback and stuff, and we really appreciate that. Sometimes we'll go to rinks, when I'm in Queenstown for the Trans-Tasman Challenge, someone might tap me on the shoulder and be like, "Oh, are you that guy from Puck Air?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's me," and someone I've never met before, and they're like, "Oh, I love the podcast," and thanks, man. I'm like, "Oh, honestly, it's just cool bumping into someone that actually listens to us." So I mean, anything that we can do to help, that's what we're here for.
you have a tough time walking through the airports? You're so well known now. Listen,
Not likely.
Hay, Oliver Hay, all the Hay family, fantastic what you guys do. I love it. All right, so let's move on from the New Zealand Ice Hockey Federation. Andy Mills and the boys doing a fantastic job. We are looking at doing an outdoor game in Queenstown. So don't tell anybody, in 2021. I am going to make that happen. We had plans of going back to Wellington this year and working with Robert and Luke Turner to put on a game. As you know, we had a little bit of an issue there where the rink fell down. Nobody, it will come out. There'll be the stories of what actually happened, and Danny DeVito will be playing me in the movie. I'm not sure who's going to play you, but we'll figure that out at a later date. But this year we actually had planned to play 2 games in Auckland with Chris Long, and then we were going to go to Queenstown and play in their rink there, and then we were going to play in Wellington. Unfortunately, we know it's been shut down, and the plan was that we were going to play an outdoor game and back at Spark Arena in Auckland in 2021. So we're hoping that we can pull that off, and we certainly know that with people like yourself helping us, we're going to do a better job than we've ever done. All right, let's fly over the Tasmanian Devil.
Tasman Sea, yeah.
I want to see a Tasmanian Devil in Hobart. I want to do that. That's a bucket list. Have you been down there?
I know I haven't. I mean, it's obviously like with everything going on, I can't really travel too much.
Right.
Basically staying within my state in New South Wales. I've been to Melbourne a bunch of times. I love Melbourne, but and Brisbane for work. But aside from that, I actually haven't seen a lot of Australia, and it's such a big country. So I've just kind of been doing the regions around New South Wales. But it's such a beautiful country, but it doesn't compare to New Zealand, I have to say.
I'm sure you've watched Bugs Bunny.
Yes.
And seen the Tasmanian Devil. So as a kid, I always wanted to meet one. So when we got to Australia, that was the big deal for me. I wanted to meet a Tasmanian Devil. And obviously, that you got to go to Tasmania, and possibly it's like the kiwi bird. Pretty tough to find a kiwi bird in New Zealand because you got to be up late at night. So I wanted to see a Tasmanian Devil. So we went to a wild park, and they had a couple of these, and I expected this big, huge animal, and it was about this big, right? It looked like a mini pig, and I guess there's a disease that they have right now, and this thing just kept running back and forth, round and round and round, just like a Tasmanian Devil, and I was so enthralled of saying I finally fulfilled one of my bucket lists. I saw one. Now I see it in the flesh in Tasmania. All right, talk about your involvement now with the Australian Ice Hockey League. Have you had a lot of time? I know you're very busy doing what you do. Did you have a lot of time to go see a bunch of games and stuff?
Yeah. So last year, God, I was thinking for a sec, what year are we in? The 2019 season, I got to see a bunch of games, both the Sydney Bears and the Sydney Ice Dogs. Pretty much any time, there is a few New Zealanders in the league, obviously the likes of like Andrew Cox playing with the Perth Thunder. You got a bunch of guys in Melbourne like Kahu, Joyce, Jackson Lane, Bradley Apps. So anytime...
Cliff?
So Jake Ratcliffe was playing with the Sydney Bears, so that's another reason why I went to as many Bears games as I could. He was just coming off that awesome season playing NCAA college hockey, and he got the Rookie of the Year in their conference. So huge get for the Sydney Bears. So it was awesome to see him play, and his dad Tim, who does a lot with the West Auckland Admirals, he would come over to Sydney and watch the game. So it's good to catch up with them as well. And then you had my buddy Benjamin Gavois with the Adelaide Adrenaline. So any chance I got to catch up with any of the New Zealand players that are in the Aussie League, I was there. And also the Bears and the Ice Dogs, they've been awesome to me. I got to commentate a bunch of games with their crew, Eric with the Bears, and my friend Luke Worthington, who with the Ice Dogs. So they both do incredible jobs keeping things going there. And it was awesome seeing the differences. There's definitely a few differences there between the Aussie League and the New Zealand one. The main one being, and it doesn't even matter now because it's changed since, but the Aussies would do 2 15-minute periods, and then the third period would be 20 minutes. And so when I was commentating the games, I'd feel like the first period was over so quickly, and I didn't even click that the period was only 15 minutes. I was like, damn, I was like, this game is flying.
Yeah.
But of course, now as of this season, they were intended to go to 3 20-minute periods. And I know they're kind of all just laying low and waiting to find out what happens. And,
that was the brainchild of, sorry to interrupt you, but that was the brainchild of the new commissioner, right? He has done an absolutely bang up job.
yeah. So, I mean, as far as, because my passion obviously lies with New Zealand ice hockey. So, I'll admit, I don't follow the Australian league too closely. I basically just pay attention to how the New Zealand guys are doing, because I know that's what the people that follow puck here, that's what they want to see. It was awesome seeing Bradley Epps in the All-Star game that was part of the Ice Hockey Classic down in, was it the Scotia? Yeah, the Scotiabank Center or whatever it was called, ICC.
Right.
And yeah,
fun there. Another fun trip. Oh
yeah.
my God! Shh, don't tell me about it.
So it was awesome to see, like Bradley. I think he was in the fastest skater, and so it was cool just to actually see guys like that. You don't normally get to see play because they're playing in Australia. Same with like Andrew Cox. I would only ever normally see him play when he's with the Ice Blacks. He's been with Perth for so long now. So to be able to see more of guys like that play, and Kahu Joyce as well with the Melbourne Ice, that stick there behind me that's signed. That's actually
got a lot of memorabilia there going on. I love it.
Yeah, so that's Kahu's stick from the Winter Games from a couple of years ago. He got the whole Ice Blacks team to sign it, and they were like, "Oh, who should we give it to?" And I guess the unanimous decision was to give it to me, and I was blown away. I was like, "Damn, this is so cool." It is like Kahu just pulled me aside and he's like, "Bro, I got something for you." And then he showed me a stick. I was like, "Wow!" I was like, "That is incredible." So it's taken pride of place next to my Freddie Anderson signed stick that I got from the Ice Hockey Classic at Spark Arena a couple of years ago. And it's just unbelievable. So
jersey sitting in the back. We'll talk about that in a few seconds once we get to NHL. I want to do a shout out. Sorry, I didn't say David Turek, the new commissioner of the AIHL. And I wanted to also, they've got a great organization. The league it's their 21st season. Unfortunately, it hasn't started yet, but I know that once they get going, Joyce Price and John Bellick and the Mustangs, they do a bang-up job, obviously, with the Melbourne Ice. I know you're in Sydney, but, with PJ Hawthorne and of course, Andy Lamerick, those two teams, it's almost like Toronto, Montreal. And then you have the Sydney organization with Chris Blagg and, Wayne Heiling and I think it's Gary and Leanne Dory in Newcastle and Stan Scott in Perth. They just do an absolutely incredible job. And Matthew Burrell at the Bears, and they won it this year. Were you at the
Yeah, last year. I didn't go to that game. I think I was working. But Andrew Bourne, who's part of he takes photos of the games. I think he's part of the team's board. He used to play for the Botany Swarm back in the day, back in their heyday of winning the championships. He was one of their import defensemen. And so we've kind of, we touched base when I moved to Sydney. And so he's kind of kept me in the fold there with the Bears, and I followed along. And obviously, I can't believe I forgot Aston Brooks. Aston Brooks plays backup for the Sydney Bears, one of my all-time favorite New Zealand hockey guys. So to see, Aston and Jake Ratcliffe playing for the Bears was awesome, and the fact that they got to win, like the finals, was amazing. They weren't expected to win at all, but they really came together as a team, and it was just incredible. Like, there was such an awesome final series. So I was really curious to see how they would go with defending their title, but I guess we will wait and see.
Yeah, of course. Hey, listen, as we move on to the NHL, we are doing a campaign called Give a Shift. It's for mental health. As you know, with isolation, there's been a lot of issues with people dealing with this mental health issues. We started it because of Paul Rosen himself had struggled with mental illness and tried to take his life. And we've had a lot of people that are dealing with post-concussion syndrome. So we started it. It's called Give a Shift, which I'll be bugging you in maybe next week, telling you about it. We need to get a buy-in from the New Zealanders and, of course, some of our friends in Australia. But here's a really cool thing. This is one of the buy-ins. This is called Small Saves. It's a guy named James DeMarco. He did this up for us to help us promote not only the Stop Concussion, because I use the terminology that we're kind of like the bubble wrap, just trying to take care of, preventing the injury. And look at what he's done for us. It's just a great little cartoon, and he's now doing one for the Connected Mental Health Initiative. So even though we're not playing, we still got to realize people are suffering. So please, everybody, give a shift for mental health. All right, let's move on to a very important topic. The NHL. And I know your favorite team, so we'll dig right into that. I'm going to show you the brackets. As you probably know, this is the brackets. And we've got your favorite team and my wife's favorite team going up against Columbus. So I'm going to put you on the spot, of course. I'm going to ask you who's coming out of the East, who's coming out of the West. You can cheat a little bit. You can call a friend. But first, I want you to think about who, and I'll put it back up if you don't have it. There you go. Who's coming out of the East? So you got Toronto, Columbus, Pittsburgh, Montreal. That's going to be, you know what? Carey Price gets hot, as you know. Bruce Poulin said the hot goaltender is going to win it. The Islanders against Florida, another great matchup. Carolina Rangers. Who would have thought the Rangers wouldn't even have been there as well as the Montreal Canadiens? And again, of course, the top four. I don't think there's any surprise except for Philadelphia. I'll tell you what, Philadelphia's been an absolute dream team this year, and I think they could have gone all the way without this shortened series. There are your teams. What do you got?
I think Toronto. This is the break and everything. It really helps them in the fact that obviously they fired Mike Babcock halfway through the season, and now they can kind of restart with Sheldon Keefe. So, I mean, that's good for them. Good for them there. There's a really good rivalry kind of building up between Toronto and Columbus. So that's going to be a great series. But I think if I'm going to pick two teams to come out of this and to be that Eastern Conference final, I'm really wary of the Carolina Hurricanes. They've been, such a solid team for the last few years, and they're just kind of they're really going. Can't forget that game where, they beat us with our own Zamboni driver. I get reminded.
That's the ace in hand right now. Yes. All the goalies get hurt, you still got the Zamboni driver.
Yeah, and so that is one of the rules I've seen. I think they can take like 28 players, but they can take as many goalies as they want or as they need. So I think Carolina is one to watch out for. Tampa obviously will be hurting after they got, embarrassed out of the playoffs last year by Columbus. So I think those are probably the two. I mean, I never want to see Boston make it through, but you can never count them out. That's for sure. Yeah,
so you're going Tampa, Carolina, and who's going to come out of it?
Oh,
listen, it's on film.
So yeah, I know.
Everybody that I know, because I want to.
I'm still going to back Carolina, I think.
All right, Carolina's going to win it. Got it down here. All right, let's go over to the West.
Yeah, well, I think with the West,
I think the Jets. Honestly, what's wrong with you?
I'm sorry, I don't see the Jets making it past anything.
You know how well Hellebuck was playing? He was Vezina material, kid. And Logan, as well as anybody, goaltending is going to be in that best of five. I'll tell you what, you get a hot goaltender. You got Carey Price. You've got Hellebuck, obviously, in the Jets. Man, and you've got Anderson in Toronto. Can't count him out.
Yeah, no, I mean, when Freddie is hot, he's hot, but he is being a little inconsistent. So, I mean, that's kind of why I'm picking Carolina. I think just as a whole, as a team, they're strong. And then on the West side of things, I mean, that top four is those are four very dominant teams. I've been on the Dallas Stars for a few years now. I'm a huge Tyler Seguin fan from the day I met him, and just unbelievable team. I really want to see them make it through, but you can't count out those St. Louis Blues. They're just such a solid unit. But I'm going to go with the Colorado Avalanche. I think they're going to be the ones that make it through.
My goodness. Want to do a shout out to Cooper Peacock. Hey, listen, we're talking about goaltenders. Chime in here. Tell us who you think's the best goaltender that's going to take him to the Stanley Cup. I'm picking, you know what? I want to pick Winnipeg. That's obviously from my heart. But you know who's going to be a team of reckoning is going to be the Edmonton Oilers. I would not count them out. I think they've got firepower up front. Depending on how goaltending is, it's going to be run and gun. And I think especially because of the fact that the first series is short, if they can come out of there quickly and beat up on Chicago, they may go a long way.
Yeah, I don't doubt you there. The Edmonton Oilers, it is definitely down to that goaltending because they do have, obviously, you got that combo there. You've got McDavid, you got Draisaitl, but Oscar Klefbom, I think is a player that people probably don't give the kind of credit that they should, but he is
playing really well.
Great defenseman. So they are definitely a very good team. It is definitely, to me, down to that goaltending, but I can't go past the Avalanche. I just think everything that they have is just out of that West. They're built to go the distance.
Great Ehrlich just came on. He's a big Chicago Blackhawk fan, as is Paul Rosen. Guys, we're not giving the Hawks any chance, guys. No chance. No chance. All right, so let's talk about your thought of the NHL coming back. Are you comfortable with the decision? Do you think the format works? Obviously you're thousand miles away, but you are ice hockey through and through. So I'm sure you're excited to hear it. But what are your true thoughts? Should they be doing this, or should they be waiting till next year to see, or next season?
So to be honest, I was kind of surprised that the NHL were first. I was always of the belief that the NBA were going to be the ones that kind of create a blueprint, and we go from there. Everything kind of shut down, following on from the NBA shutting down their season, and they're just it's a much bigger machine than the NHL, and I kind of thought they would follow their example. But I give kudos to the NHL and the Return to Play committee for coming up with this. I do like the plan. I think it's solid, and I think there is caution there, and I think they have to have that caution. Coming from where I am, and with New Zealand and Australia, our response to COVID, and I mean, it goes without saying, has been so much better than the way North America have handled it, especially the USA. I know it's a lot harder with the kind of population base, but the leadership shown in New Zealand and Australia has just been so much better. I can't stress that enough.
Your Prime Minister, she has done an absolutely incredible job.
Yeah, Jacinda Ardern, everyone, like New Zealand just bought in so much on that, and Australia as well, probably not to the same degree. Was a little worried at the start there that things were going to escalate, but
I was actually there when all that was happening, and your Prime Minister, I apologize, I can't remember her name.
Jacinda Ardern.
She can't even be affected by an earthquake.
Yeah, she's pretty rock solid. But as far as the plan goes, I like that, obviously they're saying training camps won't start before July 1st, and that's the earliest that they could start. So, best case scenario, they do start July 1st, and training camps would probably go for, they got to go for at least 2 weeks. I would say probably 3 with the amount of time that they've had off. Everyone is going to need it. Yeah. People have been able to work on their hands a little bit. I've seen videos of Mitch Marner skating around on rollerblades, but outside of that, people haven't been on the ice. So training camp will be like at least 3 weeks. We're not going to get hockey back until at least August, I would say. And so, I know I saw people excited and I saw people throwing around the hashtag hockey is back, but I think we're a little bit too premature on that front. I don't want it to rush back. And I have the faith that, the NHL and this Return to Play committee will do the right thing and not actually go back until they have to. And if it gets to the point where, I saw a comment that Gary Bettman was like, if we have to start the next season with the Winter Classic, we'll do it. We won't start the season until January. So, we could be seeing the effects of this for a while, but I think if you get to that point, like this is going to be something that flows on for years. Yep. And it just throws so many things out, out of whack, out of schedule.
Yeah.
with the calendar, obviously with the draft, and thinking obviously because I love the NHL video games, they always announce the cover athlete at the awards. Well, when are the awards going to happen now? When is this?
Front. Right
Yeah,
now,
so
he walks on water in Germany. Like, it is unbelievable. This guy is already a legend in Germany. Just saw, had a call yesterday about with our European correspondent Shoppy, and it's unbelievable what he has done for German ice hockey.
yeah, so I just I want hockey, like everyone, I want hockey back. And I do think it's a very solid plan. But I think as long as we don't rush it, we'll be fine. Obviously, I don't think they're going to be part of it. We're just going to have to watch from home. And I mean, I think we're all kind of used to that.
Yeah.
The NRL in Australia came back last night, and it was unbelievable having live sport back on TV last night. It was so freaking good.
Listen, we got to hurry up. We got to hurry up. NASCAR's on.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, we've done well. We've done well, but if sport can slowly start coming back, that's great. But just we can't rush it. And I mean, I know there's the business side of things as well, and it's something that's gonna hurt for a while. But financial decisions, I think, they come second to health. And so I know I've seen a few people, they've commented on Puck here with their reservations. And I know there is reservations, obviously, like I mentioned, with Australia and New Zealand. Our response to COVID versus North America's response to COVID has been completely different. And you've seen that in the results, unfortunately. But, I think there is a lot of hesitation amongst the community about hockey coming back. I mean, we want it, but not at the detriment to people's health.
I don't know if you've been watching, Logan, though. The German ice hockey, the Bundesliga soccer has come back, and it's been absolutely perfect at this particular moment. But more importantly, speaking to Shoppy about, he's out of Krefeld, Germany. He's basically said everybody's talking about how great it is, and the fans themselves, even though they can't go to the arenas, they are just so electric, and it's almost picked up I wouldn't say the economy, but the spirits of the German populace. So you know what? Maybe hockey and I thought basketball would be first. Obviously, Major League Baseball's having its problems with the salary issues right at this particular moment. I thought it was one that would come back quicker. I think hockey's got a little bit more challenges as Gary Bettman and the boys have to deal with. It's just the teams are much more difficult to move around. The equipment's bigger. Can they get across the borders? That's going to be a big issue. I don't think that's going to happen without quarantine. So there's a lot of fundamental issues that they're going to have to deal with. And Matthew Burrow has just joined us, so I want to throw a congratulations out to the Bears. Are they automatically repeat champions? Are they going to be awarded the cup? And if so, good old cup, do they do it by virtue, they just pass it through along, like we've seen some of these great videos. Let's move on now to, I've taken up a lot of your time, so I want to talk a little bit about Ice Hockey Classic, and then you did a great interview this summer with one of my favorite Australians. Ice Hockey Classic, I know you've been involved in it a couple times. It's not the easiest thing to put on. And we take criticism, and I'll take criticism where criticism's due, but we don't give up. We had our issues in Wellington, and I think that all in all, we've done a pretty good job promoting the game in New Zealand with obviously a couple of hiccups. And then in Australia, it's been very successful. Last year we did again have some technical issues. The support from the fans have not been the major issue. It's been really some of the technical, moving rinks around, as you've seen behind the scenes. I'm not the most logistically based guy, so I require my team, but my team was stretched to the fullest with some of the issues. And of course, my wife, as you know, Tony, without her, it just doesn't happen. The one thing that I will take and put some credit to all of the support we've had from the fans, the support that we've had from the community, the organizations themselves, yourself stepping up and helping where you could. It's been a really good experience. And I think this time off, this pause that's going on, is probably a good thing for us too, because we've always been so pushing to get back and do it right, do it right. And this year we're going to make them smaller and just make it a compact quality event. We now have a lot of time to come back bigger and better. As I mentioned to you, we want to do an outdoor game in Queenstown for 10 to 12,000 fans. Logistics are big, so we've got a lot of time to do it. And as important, we're going to do something special in Melbourne. Your thoughts from the outside looking in, has it made a difference?
I mean, I think the first one I saw was the Spark Arena game. And, a couple of years ago in Auckland, normally that's the home of the New Zealand Breakers, the basketball team. And so to see a rink go up there, it gave me that vibe, like that feeling of, when I was in Toronto and one night you're in, Scotiabank Arena and you're watching the Raptors. And then the next night you're there watching the Leafs. And it kind of gave me that vibe. And it was awesome to see so many people come out. The interest was awesome. The media were really curious. There was a lot of, media attention that I hadn't seen before with New Zealand, ice hockey in New Zealand. So that was incredible to see. But the one thing that I really took away from that game in Spark Arena was these hockey fans that I'd never seen before. Like these people walking around with jerseys and, yeah, a lot of Vancouver Canucks jerseys I noticed. So I was like, well, where are these fans coming from? Like, I mean,
We're smart.
Yeah, but I'm like, okay, well, if you got all these people going to this game, which is awesome, I hope you then will seek out hockey in New Zealand and then go to like an NZHL game or, or something like that. So, I mean, it has been great to it's something like an event that the community can get behind. And I know obviously the NZHL with that game at Spark Arena, the Admirals and the Swarm getting to play that game before USA v Canada. That was a huge event. Like that was such an opportunity. And I know with Wellington, it sucks that it happened the way that it did. I have it all on film too. not the actual incident, but just it was such an awesome day. The energy was there. And I know all the Ice Blacks and the NZHL players that were there, and they were so excited to be there. I mean, it'll happen someday, I'm sure. And yeah,
what's cool though, Logan? Once the incident happened, one day everybody will know what what the reasons are, and everybody wants to point fingers. And hey, I was the one. I remember doing an interview from Canada the day before, and the guy actually said, "Wow, if you pull this off, where the the All Blacks play, you're going to walk on water, Gouche." Well, I did walk on water because the ice didn't freeze. But what was really cool about it is that we took all the players, including the Ice Blacks, and they all went up in the stands. There were 12,000 people there, and it was a party. And again, as you said, in Wellington, all the NHL jerseys that came out of the woodwork and Team Canada jerseys. It was absolutely amazing. There is ice hockey fans, and we will be back to take care of it. Let's move quickly over to Australia then to have Wayne Gretzky. I know I kind of pinch my skin sometimes to even think that we did that. He hasn't traveled to many countries, right? And there he was in Sydney, Australia. I don't think you were there, but you certainly obviously heard the impact. That's got to have resonated with the ice hockey community.
Oh yeah, I mean, you just hearing the name Wayne Gretzky. I mean, people that don't even follow ice hockey know who Wayne Gretzky is. And I mean, even, just recently there was the Last Dance, the Michael Jordan series. There was a couple of times where they were at MSG and they would show Gretzky. So, it just kind of shows that kind of star power that he has, that recognition, even just the face, just the name, just the number 99. People know it. But no, I wasn't. That was a little bit before my time getting involved with the Ice Hockey Classic, but I was aware of it. So awesome that Gretzky did, lend his name to the Classic for that year, and he came down and everything. Buddy Wayne, you got to come to New Zealand, man. Like I know you'll love it just as much.
On that one, but you know what you and I could work on? Why don't we do the last skate? The Last Dance. You and I'll go out and try and do the wheeling and dealing, and you do the filming because you're fantastic at it.
I like that. I do, yeah. So I've got all that footage from Wellington and everything. I did go down last year, I think, or the year before.
I don't have any, so you got to promise me I get to see some of that.
Yeah, you definitely will. And I know, like, I've been working on a little feature with Wellington. I meant to do it ages ago, and then work commitments and stuff obviously get in the way. But I've got this little feature in the works about Wellington ice hockey, with everything that Rob Blitz and Luke Turner are doing, with the incredible job that they do to help grow the community that
Yep.
they already have. And it just keeps going up. Like, the numbers are incredible,
Yep.
what they've managed to do in a short space of time. It's awesome to see. And I don't think that wouldn't have happened without the Ice Hockey Classic in Wellington, whether it worked or not. I mean, people have bounced back from that. That rink, the fact that it is still there in Wellington and helping to grow the sport is awesome. It's testament to the power of the Ice Hockey Classic. And so you'll definitely see at some point some footage. You'll see a bit of that, but I really need that feature to end with you coming back to Wellington.
We're coming back to Wellington. So here's what I'd like to do with you now. We're just going to end it off with the interview that you did. Great kid. But I would like to see if you would do this with me. I'd like to bring Luke Turner and Robert Blitz on a round table, and you can come on with me if you wouldn't mind, and we'll just talk hockey in Wellington, because I think they're doing a great job, and we could tell some stories and find out what's going on. I'll do a little one-on-one with our buddy Robert to find out, but I know that there's some really cool things in the works, and of course Luke Turner doing a bang-up job creating the sport. All right, final one. Here's this. What a great, unfortunately the quality of the picture is not the greatest, but look at this. Look at that. Fuck yeah, interviewing my buddy Nathan Walker. We were talking, you got to see his Stanley Cup ring. You got to hold it. I had it on my finger. It was heavier than, God, it was gold. It's like a gold bullion, for God's sakes. And what a nice kid. What an absolute dream kid to be around.
Yeah, I mean, that was such an awesome opportunity. I love that screenshot, because I'm just, the whole entire time, I'm wearing my Ice Blacks jersey, my jacket, and it wasn't hot. And I probably should have not worn it, but I don't know. I was just trying to look cool next to Nathan Walker. It was such a cool experience. Yeah, just such a down-to-earth dude. Both him and his lovely wife, just, they're just so invested. And that was one of the most fun interviews I've ever done. We talked not just about hockey, but we talked about all other stuff. Him being a kid from Cronulla, and he loves to surf. He loves to. I don't know if he still is, but he likes to play a bit of Fortnite with the guys. Back when he was with the Hershey Bears.
Yeah.
Of course, he's now with San Antonio, and a part of that St. Louis Blues system. So he's gone from one cup winner contender to another, and yeah, that ring, oh my gosh, like that, just seeing that in the flesh was incredible. The amount of detail. I mean, I was scared to hold it. I was just like, this is so precious. Like, only so many X amount of people in the world get one of these, and you got one. You fully deserve it. And just, yeah, to see one was so awesome. I mean, talking to him was great. He's just so, you wouldn't even really think he's like this, like pro hockey player. He's just like this regular dude.
Yeah.
He doesn't, he's
yeah.
got a Stanley Cup ring, but he's just like, I'm just another guy. And so he was there, obviously a great ambassador for Australian ice hockey. He's a name that people attach to in Australia. And I know with like the sports media here in Australia, I've only really been in it for like a year now, but that name, Nathan Walker, definitely does seem to resonate when hockey comes up.
Yeah. And you know what? He was just a class act with us. He helped the Ice Hockey Classic. He couldn't play because he didn't have a contract. So his agent didn't want him to play, but he was still there signing autographs. He was going to be in the lineup this year. We were going to be in Adelaide playing at the big rink. We were going to play a small game in Melbourne at the Ice House. With the Ice and the Mustangs, and just play it up big. Working with David Turk has been a dream, but unfortunately all those have been shut down, but we'll put that all back together. We will be back, and I look forward to having Pakya and Logan along with us. Listen, but thank you for taking an hour of your time out of your busy schedule. I know your wife working and you being doing so much. It's been fantastic. I look forward to getting you back. I will talk to Robert Blitz and Luke. I'd love you to be a part of that, even if it's for a 20-minute roundtable. It'd be cool to have you even interview them about what's going on in Wellington. And as it opens up more and more, Cam Green, congratulations. Be safe. Make sure the sport is well taken care of. And as we all know, the NHL, we want it to be back, but we want it to be right, and we want it to be safe. Final word to you, Logan.
Just everyone, thanks for the time that support Puck here and everything that we're doing. Obviously, there's only so much we can do at the moment. We kind of do everything off the skin off our own backs. There's no hockey at the moment, so make sure you tune in to our NZHL season sim that we're doing, the NZHL, playing the games through the NHL 20 video games. So check the links out on Twitch. We post them up on our Facebook and everything. So just, follow us, get in touch with us. We're on Facebook and Instagram at PuckHereNZ, and we would love to hear from you.
All right, just before you go, here's a little commercial.
Hi, I'm Marnie from Adelaide. Adelaide, Australia. In this time of uncertainty, we want you to know that we care and that we're here for you. Please join our movement to help those who can't help themselves. For more details, please go to connectedmentalhealth.com. And please, give us your best shift for our clipathon. Hashtag, give a shift for mental health. I give a shift.
That's a young lady. She's 12 years old. She's from Adelaide, Australia, and she fell in love with the game. I gave her dad a couple of free tickets a long time ago, and she's an absolute crazy Pittsburgh Penguin fan. I don't know what happened there. And she made that video for our mental health initiative. So hats off to her. My goodness, there is love all around the world. Logan, thank you so much, buddy. Give a big hug and kiss to your wife, and we will see you. I'll be talking to you next couple of days about getting you on our roundtable with Robert Blitz and Luke Turner, and let's find out about Wellington ice hockey. Thanks, buddy.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, mate. Appreciate it.
You're a great ambassador. Thank you. Well, what a great, great day. You know what? I've interviewed a lot of guys. This kid's got passion, and he's very, very talented. I've seen a bunch of the work that he's done, and I'm really impressed. And he helped us out with Ice Hockey Classic. And I'll tell you what, it wasn't easy working with me, especially in those times where, things were falling apart. But he was always a mainstay and helped us through a couple of ugly moments. But I'll tell you what, we've got lots of great stuff coming up over the next couple of weeks. And don't forget, I do not want you to forget, make sure you check out this Sunday with Paul and I interviewing Liam McGuire and the real Ogie Oglethorpe from the movie Slapshot. It will be a one-of-a-kind interview, and we are so excited that we are the exclusive online presence that's going to have the real Ogie Oglethorpe. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for spending some time. Bill Seagaloff from Australia, we will be having you on, part of the Para Hockey Australia. You're coming up next week. Look forward to talking. I know Paul will be dealing with all the Para Hockey, talking about China tomorrow, obviously Mark Simon, and what's going on with the Olympics. Not the Summer Olympics, but what's going to go on with the Winter Olympics. We look forward to that. Thank you, guys. Good night.